Hey yo, what's good everybody? It's your boy Matthew Maley for MatthewMaley.com. Well, I've got the beautiful Aria behind me, so since I just got done playing their tournament, figured I would do my poker recap standing here. Well, it's fresh in the noggin, if you will. So, decided that I wanted to play one of the daily tournaments today, but I wanted to play a little bit higher than simply the $65 or $70 that they have at the Planet Hollywood. So originally I was going to play the 2 p.m. at the Bellagio, but I found out that it's a rebuy tournament, and not just a re-entry, but a rebuy. So I'm alright with re-entry tournaments, but rebuy tournaments, people usually play them pretty crazy. So I didn't really want to play that. So I decided, after falling back asleep, that I would play the 7 p.m. and was trying to decide between Caesars, where it's a 5K guaranteed, but only 20-minute blind rounds, or coming over to Aria, where it's 30-minute blind rounds. Same 10K chips, and really everything else was pretty similar, so decided since I hadn't played at Aria before, I would come over and play here. And first off, really like it. Really like the poker room here, Ivy's room, or Ivy's League, whatever they call it. It was cool seeing Jean-Robert Ballon. They're playing the 10 game, or I think it was the 10 game, like, I don't know what the limit is, but I know Jean-Robert always talks about that. He always tweets about it as well. So it's cool seeing that going on. But got to the tournament about 20-30 minutes late, because I had never driven to the city center before. I've always just walked. So I'd never actually, had to find a parking spot, and did a tour of the whole property before I finally found the parking garage. But ended up, you start with 10K in chips, and thankfully they didn't blind any of it off. So when I got to the table, I still had 10K in chips, which is pretty solid. Pretty quickly on, I didn't get anything for hands. I was running, I was running horribly. I don't know why I just said ranning. That is ridiculous. But I was running horribly for about 3 rounds. Then picked up ace-jack, raised, got 2 callers. Ended up, the blinds at this point were 5,100, so I raised, I think, 375. Ended up, yeah, check to me, I bet probably like 525, and they both folded, so took that down, was pretty solid. And really, then was just kind of grinding it out. My big score came, I had ace tray of diamonds on the big blind, and a guy from under the gun +2 raised. This point the blinds were 1-2. He raised to 600, I believe, maybe 650, and I ended up calling. Flop came up jack 5-4 diamonds, so I flopped the nuts. Beautiful. Ended up checked, check, guy bets at it. Guy folds, it comes back to me, I call. Turn card actually scared me a little bit, because it was another jack, so now the board's paired. Can never be easy, right? It's always got to be a sweat. So ended up, he bet again, and I called, and then on the river, he checked, and I should have bet, but I really had this bad feeling that he had pocket fives, because the flop was jack 5-4. So I really felt like he had pocket fives, and he turned the boat. I just had that feeling. So I missed the bet on the river, because we both checked, but I took that down, and that pot really boosted me up. That one got me to about 18,000. So it was definitely a solid pot. Probably, there was another 2 or 3. Oh, I'm sorry, a big hand before that I wanted to mention. I finally, it was after I had gone about 3 rounds without anything. I picked up jack 8 offsuit, like 2 off the button. And I said, you know what, I'm just gonna make a move here. So I bet I raised to probably 350 or so, get 2 callers. Flop comes up jack 10 blank. So the guy actually leads out. The guy who had called me was in the big blind. He leads out for probably like 400 or so. And I raised plus 1,200. So a really big re-raise. He ended up thinking about it for a while, and then finally mucked face up ace-jack. And I told him I had jack 10, just so he felt better. So that was a pretty good pop for me as well. It made me feel good, getting some confidence going. But then as actually later on against that same guy, I picked up Ace King on 2 off of the button. He had actually raised for the blinds at this point were again, we're 1-2 with a $25 ante, and he raised to $750 or $850. I then re-raised. Like I said, I had probably about 15,000. I lost a little bit. I was down to about 15,000, and I re-raised. He only had probably about, I would say probably 10,000 in front of him, maybe 8,000. But since he'd already made it, it's whatever, 750 or 850. I raised it plus 3,500. So in my mind, I was fine taking the pot down right there with Big Slick. But I also really felt that, you know, if he did have a hand like Ace Queen, Ace Jack, pocket 10s, pocket 9s, he's going to shove there based on what I made the raise. As opposed to if I would have pushed, I don't think he would have called. He ended up doing like I thought. He shoved with Ace Queen. I obviously called Ace King. And it actually just ran out blank until the river where I hit a king. Not like it mattered. So knocked him out with that. And that put me up to about 25,000, I'd say, in terms of chips, right about 25. Like 3 hands later, the pit boss comes over and they're going to be breaking our table. And literally, like, if only she would have broken it right then, instead of waiting another hand, that next hand I pick up Ace Queen. Now mind you, the 2 hands prior to this, I had Ace 10 suited. The guy directly next to me raised all in, and I knew I was beat. I knew he had me dominated. Sure enough, he had Ace King. I didn't call, so that was good. Very next hand, I pick up Ace Jack. Another guy shoves. Another guy shoves on top of him, and I actually was, as soon as the guy shoved on, he shoved under the gun. I was under the gun +1, and I ended up letting my Ace Jack go. It goes to all the way around. Ends up another guy calls with 9-3. The other one had 10-7. So, needless to say, I was a little pissed off with that, especially when an ace flopped and a jack turned. So that would have been a nice pot, and put me up to about 30 grand if I would have won it. But sadly, I didn't. So, very last hand before it got about to get broken, I pick up Ace Queen on the button. Goes to under the gun plus 2 raises. Like, I would say probably like, blinds had to have gone up as well. So I think the blinds were 2-4-25 now. I think. So he ends up raising to, I'd say like 1,200, and I repop it to like 43, I think. And he only had, I would say, 8 grand. And he ends up shoving. I can't not call at this point. He rolls over 2 jacks. Shit. Didn't improve. Shit. Especially because the guy next to me had one of my aces. So that one hurt me. That actually brought me down to like 18, because I dropped a couple pots. I'd gotten as high as 28.3 was as high as I got, maybe 28.9. But dropped a couple pots, and then next thing you know, huge pot. So that pot would have been beautiful if I picked it up, but I didn't. So that took me down to like 17, and then we broke and went to a new table. Well, as soon as I got to this new table, apparently like our table was not very well chip stacked. I don't know if every person who re-entered, because this was a re-entry tournament, they all went back to this table or what. But I went from where I was at with 28 grand and was chip lead at my table. That 28 grand wouldn't even been like 3rd or 4th in chips at this table. So it was a crazy table, but ended up, was super card dead for almost 2 blind rounds. Ended up picking up Ace King, raised pre-flop, and no, I'm sorry, I picked up King and I raised pre-flop. One person called me, flop came out, Ace 10-6, so I got the gut shot, but this girl leads out. She was first to act and let out on me, and I just looked at her. I said, you know, your ace is good, and let it go. And she ended up having a set of 6s, so thankfully I didn't try to get cute with that. And then probably, what was it, probably 7 or 8 hands later, was the brutal one. I had ace queen. Flop came up queen 10-6. Girl raised, I shoved. She had probably, I want to say she started the hand with about 8,000. I was at about 20,000 at this point. And she ended up having a set of sixes as well. So set of sixes was the bane of my existence, essentially. But it is what it is. So that one hurt me a lot. That one took me back down to, I want to say, probably like 8 grand, 7, 8 grand. I actually thought I got knocked out, but thankfully I did have more chips than she did. So that one was pretty brutal. Ended up like 2 hands later, shoved. So I was able to take that pot down. And then probably 3 hands after that, shoved. And at this point, the blinds were, I want to say 300, 600 with a $75 ante. So, you know, you even just take down the blind with antes, it's a decent pot. So ended up building up a little bit. I had another hand with jack, or queen jack, where I flopped a jack and bet at it and took it down. And then another hand with queen 9, flopped a 9, and took it down. Then another hand that actually hurt me, I had ace 7, called a raise from the big blind. Flop came out jack 7-4, and check called all the way down, and the guy had a jack, so that one hurt me. But then I went to this new table and was just kind of maintaining, really wasn't doing much, wasn't getting anywhere. But picked up king 6 on the big blind. And at this point I've got probably 8,000 chips. Blinds are still 3-6 with a 75 ante. Good thing about this tournament, 30-minute blind rounds, really solid. Ended up, we both hit our 6. He ended up having queen 6. I had king 6. So I ended up doubling up through him. He bet on the flop. I pushed. He called after thinking about it for a while, because the flop came up like 10-9-6 if I'm not mistaken. So took that down. Ended up with that, I got back up to about 16,000, I'd say, 16 or 18,000. Then probably 3 hands after that, picked up pocket kings. Ended up, blinds actually went up to 4-8 with a $100 ante. So I ended up betting, I want to say like 32, and just straight took it down. So again, decent blinds and antes, but would have liked to have seen a little bit of action with that. We'd actually gotten down to a 5-handed at our table, or 6-handed at our table. So I probably bet it a little bit too hard, honestly. Then we were down to 13 people left, and I was, right there for the final table. Sadly, because there were only 48 people in the tournament, only the final 5 got paid. So I wasn't really thinking about making the final table. I was thinking about trying to double up, build up as many chips as I could, since, I still need to get through 5 people, and I knew the table at the other end was pretty crazy. So I ended up picking up pocket jacks on the button. No, I'm sorry. I picked up pocket jacks second to act. Yeah, at this point we were still 13. We had 7 people at our table. So I was under the gun plus 2, I believe. Ended up raising to 4750. And I built my stack back up. After I doubled up, I'd gotten back up to like, at one point, like 26,000. But then after the blinds and antes dropped me back down a little bit, I was back down to like 23,000. And then picked up 2 hands where I raised and got shoved on and couldn't call. So at this point, I was probably at about like 19 or 18,000. Actually, that's not true. I'd also shoved on a hand. A guy raised and I shoved with ace queen from the button. He raised under the gun to like 3,500 and I shoved. So I took down that pot. So I was right at about 20,000, maybe 21,000 before the jacks. So I raised to like 4750 and got 1 caller, which with jacks I was fine folding, honestly. Everybody knows how horrible jacks are to play. So the flop came up ace 10-10, and I really don't know what I was thinking with it, to be quite honest. I should have gotten away from the hand. First and foremost, the fact that I didn't, again, me overplaying hands, which has been my nemesis for, what, 5 years of playing cards. So ended up, guy bet out. let out and bet 5,000. So at this point, you know, I'm figuring I've got another like, I think it was like another 13 on top. I had like 18, I think I got 18,125 chips. So I was thinking in my mind, I'm not putting him on a 10. I'm not putting him on a 10 at all, unless he had ace 10 and then he hit the boat, which I'm not putting him on that. I was putting him on a weak ace. I was thinking like a hand like ace 7, ace 5, something like that. So I'm thinking he also wasn't that great of a player, which there's kind of a double-edged sword. Part of me thought that if I shove on him, he'll give me credit for a better ace, and I can take that down. The other part of me was thinking, well, if he is a bad player, well, not a bad player, but not a great player, and he has an ace, he's going to call simply because he thinks his ace is better than it is. But I still ended up shoving, and he actually thought about it for a minute, which made me think that I was actually possibly good, and that he was going to muck, but then he ends up calling and rolls over queen 10. So I'm dead. I'm like, I'm totally dead. So it was brutal. So needless to say, I didn't catch one of my 2 outs for the jack ball, and I ended up getting knocked out in 12th place. So I'm not pissed off by my play. You know, did I overbet it? Yes, I did. Did I, you know, put way too much money into a pot that I shouldn't have? Yes, I did. Should I have, as soon as that ace hit, should I have gotten the fuck out of it? Yes, I probably should have. But at the same time, if you fold jacks every single time that an ace hits, I mean, you're going to be losing money with it. So I don't know, I really did think that I could take the pot away from him, but apparently I was mistaken. So it ended up being a pretty solid tournament. It's 12:15 now, so ended up playing for a good 4.5 hours. But apparently the 1 p.m. actually gets a lot better turnout and a much better prize pool. First place for this was 1,900, like 1,950, and I think second place was like 900. So not bad. I think I could be wrong on the second place number, but I know first place was 1,900. So not bad for a $125 tournament with 40 people and 45 people in it. So I'll definitely be playing it again. Big shout out to the Aria room. There was some beef going on with one of the players, and I got a comment that the staff did a great job kind of squashing the issue and, you know, getting the guy out of the poker room. So I was freaking out. He wasn't disrupting the players. So it was pretty solid, honestly. I was pretty impressed with that. And you'll definitely be seeing me play here again. I think tonight I'm actually just going to go over and play a little at Planet Hollywood, chill out with Nino a little bit, and I might even call it an early night because I want to get a nice day in tomorrow and probably play all day. Heard there's a good tournament at the Orleans. It's a $125 tournament. We start off with 12.5 in chips, and I guess it's one of the biggest tournaments on the Strip or in Vegas, honestly. So probably going to check that out. But once again, I am Matthew Maley. This is MatthewMaley.com. That is another poker recap video, this time of the $125 No Limit re-entry tournament, 7 p.m. at the Aria. So let me know what you guys think. I mean, the jacks, what should I have done? I'm sure I could have gotten away from them. I know that that was what I should have done, but what do you guys think? So, want to do a quick wrap up, let you guys know how it went, and like I said, stay tuned. Lots of videos going to be popping up. So as always, thank you very much for checking out my videos. Much appreciated. You can check out the rest of them on MatthewMaley.com. Click on the video blog tab. You can also check them out all of my previous entries in the previous video blog tab. You can also check me out on YouTube. Search for Matthew Maley Poker, where you can like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. You can also check me out on Facebook. Search again for Matthew Maley Poker. I post all of my videos online, so you can check them out all there and like and comment on them. You can also check me out on Twitter. I am at Matthew Maley. As you guys know, with tournaments, I try to post up a lot of hands as they happen and, you know, keep everybody abreast of the action. So follow me on there. And until the next video, I am signing off, and I'm going to go get in an air-conditioned car because I'm sweating my ass off out in this cement parking garage. So, peace out, everybody.